Hello, my sweet friend. I am Cristina Arevalo, cake business, productivity coach, and podcaster. I help cake makers like you manage your business productively and with ease, taking control of your time and workflow to avoid stress and burnt out. I offer personalized strategies and supportive community to help you stay organized, productive, and in charge of your success. Your cake business should bring you joy, not stress. I'm here to help you build an efficient, successful, and sustainable business without feeling overwhelmed and burned out. With the right planning, strategies, and mindset, you can reach your goals, stay organized, and enjoy the journey. Let's make your cake business work for you, not the other way around. Hi there. If you like this podcast and enjoy this episode, there's only one thing I ask from you. Please follow this podcast, download this episode, and leave me a started review in any of your favorite podcast platforms where you're listening to this show now. This way, the algorithm will show the podcast to more cake artists who will benefit from, and you'll be helping me grow this show. And don't forget to share it on social media and tag me, and I'll gladly follow you back. I would love to hear what you have to say. Leave me a comment on Spotify or answer any of the questions and polls on the episode. Let me invite you to follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok as the Art Cake Coach, or follow the links on the show notes to find out more ways to stay connected. Visit www.theartcakecoach.com for more. Today we have the first guest episode of 2026, and I'm very happy to say that today I'm accompanied by Jo Upton and Emma Stewart. Jo is the owner of Jo's Cake Studio, where creativity meets craftsmanship. She bakes from scratch, develops original recipes, designs and sculpts bespoke cakes, and bring edible art to life. She's an award-winning cake artist with 2 silver awards and 1 gold at Cake International. And she also teaches cake art and baking, sharing skills, confidence, and love of learning with others. In the other hand, we have Emma Stewart from Emma Stewart Cake Design, based in Northern Ireland. She is an international award winning wedding cake designer with over 14 years in the industry. Emma is the 2026 UK Wedding Cake Designer of the Year, and she's the last year winner of the DMA's Best Business Coach, and is a member of Cake International judging team. They're both sharing with us today all their knowledge and expertise about pricing and keeping the cake decorating business alive. So, welcome, Emma and Jo, and thank you for sharing your expertise with us today. Well, hello, my sweet friends, and welcome to another episode of the Art Cake Coach podcast. Christina here. I am super happy to have the 2 first guests of the podcast for 2026. Hello, Emma. Hello, Jo. How are you doing today?
Good,
Hi,
thanks. How are you?
Christina.
It's so good to have you here. We've been trying to make it happen for a couple of weeks, but we're finally here.
Mm.
And I'm very happy that you're the first in this year, this 2026.
Yeah,
How's everything with you guys? How's business? Busy. How's
yeah.
everything going?
I'm extremely busy. Not just Cake World. I've got 2 other businesses that are just keeping me completely on my toes, and yeah, really busy. But the Cake World, I'm now selling cakes. As before, I only made them for content. So yeah, that's building up nicely, and I've not even advertised it yet.
That's good, Joe. That's good because before last year you were more into the content creator
Yeah,
or content creation, and now you're
yeah.
selling your cakes. Great, awesome, Emma. And how about you? How's 2026 going for you so far?
2026 is going well. Weddings don't start for me until April, but as you know, this time of year is usually like wedding showcases and admin catching up and working on the website, and it's awards season. Um, so yeah, that's kind of where I've been at. I've been to an award ceremony already, and I have another one to go to in a couple of weeks' time, and I'll be seeing you both there.
Yes, true, true is true. Well, Emma, you're being very what is the word? Uh, I don't know what's the word. very quiet about the fact that you won the award in the last ceremony you've been to.
I did. So
Congratulations on that.
it was the Wedding Industry Awards, or TWIO as it's affectionately known, which is the biggest UK wedding awards for the industry. And I won the national finals this year. I came second last year, so I was determined that this year I was going to win. This was my year, so this year I won, and it's great because it's not like public vote, and it doesn't matter how many weddings you actually do. It's judged on feedback and scoring by your actual brides and
Mhm.
grooms, and also they have an expert judging panel which also goes through and score on multiple different aspects of your wedding cake business. So well, for me, wedding cakes, other parts of the industry are also have their own expert panels as well, which is good because it means that it's people that understand what we do that are judging, um, and the people that we're doing it for that are giving their feedback and their judging as well. So it's a good way of, um, it's a good one to enter, I think, and to be a part of. So winning it kind of means a big deal.
It is a big deal. You should be proud of that. Celebrate your wins because um, what you mentioned, and I think it's key, is like you're not only being judged by a panel of judges, you're being judged by the feedback given by your customers. And at the end of the day, that's what keep our business going.
Yeah.
Is the relationship with our customers, how satisfied they are, if they talk well about us and recommend us and pay for our services. So excellent, excellent. Congratulations on that as well. Well, I invited Joe and Emma here to the podcast because I know that at the beginning of the year you had you made a live event or a live sort of chat on Facebook about one of the I don't know if it's number one, number two, but it's in the top issue in our industry for cake makers, cake decorators, cake business owners, small, big business owner, whatever. I mean, if you sell a cake, big issue is pricing. That's what
Yeah.
everybody complains about. That's what everybody, wants to know more about. The thing is, and my question is, there's so much information now out there. Like you guys are sharing your knowledge about it, but it keeps being a problem. Why? What's happening?
I think people are scared to charge what they think they should charge. I think they're frightened they're gonna lose customers. I think a lot of people don't think they're good enough to charge those prices, but then there's a bone of contention from the ones who are gonna charge those prices and they're being undercut by the other people. So it kind of doesn't level the industry out. Would you agree with that, Emma?
Yeah, so I think what is happening is people they tend to when they come into the industry, and even if they've been in for a number of years, as Joe says, they are scared to actually charge properly. They might go and have a look at working out exactly how much everything is costing for their cakes. They don't necessarily actually include everything that they should be including, which is another thing. They don't necessarily pay themselves. They just assume everything on top of their expenses is paying themselves, which, as we know as business owners, that's not actually the way it works. Um, but it tends to scare them when they actually see the figures that they should be putting down if they actually are paying themselves. And they forget that they slip into that. It's just a cake
Yeah.
mode. Even as cake makers and cake designers, now we can still fall into the but it is just a cake, and it is just a cake. But ultimately, cake is a luxury, and it is a profession that involves a lot of skill. It's not we're not creating these cakes that we do, like, in a factory, like, using big machines and mass producing them. We're doing them, bespoke, most of them, or even if you do have a set range that you offer, you're still having to make them each
Yeah.
cake at a time. And I think people forget that aspect of it. It's not the same. You can't compare it to a supermarket. It
Oh,
doesn't work like that.
absolutely. Yeah. I think it's one of the biggest mistakes. And I have to say, I mean, guilty of doing that when I started back 18 years ago. I didn't know. I actually honestly was like, okay, I guess this is how you do the math. And as as I walked along in my business, like, okay, this is not working. There must be something to be done because this is not working. You mentioned, Joe, you mentioned people are scared to change and they're afraid to pay, as Emma mentioned, afraid to pay, to charge what they should be charging. Um, why is that? Why? Why are they scared? Do they think that people is not going to pay? They're
Yeah,
gonna lose customers?
yeah.
What
I
is
think
it?
it's all of that. I think they think people won't pay for the item. They're gonna lose customers. They're frightened that they'll go to the next baker who's charging £20 less.
Mhm,
And it's all of those things. So if this is someone's livelihood and business, they're making themselves the busiest person in the world and still bringing home a minimal wage for the week, where technically they should be doing less cakes and charging the correct prices for it. And as Emma says, there's so much more behind it. And, I'm in business in two other businesses. So I know what the overheads are and the tax and everything else that we have to pay.
mhm.
And that's never included in it. And it should be because that's got to come out of somewhere in that profit margin.
Yeah. Yeah, I would that was going to be one of my questions. As a business, you run not 1, but 2, 3 businesses?
Three now.
3, there you go. Imagine if you were not doing the math correctly and if you
Yeah.
were not charging for all of that. I mean, it will probably comes to the point that, and I guess that's why so many people
Yeah.
are closing doors or are just giving up.
Yeah.
It's because that foundation is not there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, people do just see it as, like, in terms of non-cake takers,
Mhm.
like the general public, they do just view most of them will view what we do as, "Oh, it is just cake." That's a phrase they always use, "It's just cake."
Mhm.
Um, so they don't appreciate the skill and the time and everything that we actually put into them. And when it comes to the pricing, like you say, for years you didn't price it properly. I'm the same. Like I've been in the industry for nearly 15 years now, but I know that at least the first 3 years at least, I was literally just plucking figures out of thin air. Oh, that sounds about right. Um, but as Joe said, like you end up being a busy fool and realizing that you're working every hour under the sun, but you're actually not seeing anything at the end of it. You're not
Mm.
even paying yourself anywhere near minimum wage most
Yeah.
of the time when you're doing that. Um, so it's really tough for them to then, if they've come in at that level, to then start moving towards where it should be. And because it always seems like such a massive jump when they do start working out where it actually should be price wise. It's
Mhm.
like, well, I can't go from here to here because I will literally lose everybody. Um, and they don't know how to progress towards it. They don't know how to move that direction. And when you're looking on things like the social media that we see out there now, especially on the likes of TikTok, there are so many cake makers on there who are telling people what they're charging for their cakes each week. Like, here's what I made this week as a whatever cake maker, home cake maker. And then they'll have all the cake orders that they've done and how much they've charged next to them. And I kind of look at those prices and I'm like, but you need to be charging more. You're only being able to sustain that because of the volume
Yeah.
of orders that you're having to do. And if you actually worked out your hours that you're putting in for doing that, you're not earning enough.
Mhm.
And you can't guarantee those numbers of orders every week. So realistically, they should be flipping the way that they're structuring it, like Joe mentioned earlier about doing less orders
Yeah.
and looking at, like what is the minimum that I need to be bringing in? What is the lowest number of orders I might have in a week on a bad week? And that's where you should be using for calculating your price point on, like your average week being that as opposed to your super busy weeks.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Because otherwise, like when you hit a really quiet spell, what are you going to do? You're going to have nothing there. If you've only got one cake or two cakes in a week instead of 7 or 8, how you cover your bills? How do you pay yourself?
Exactly, exactly, because we know that we are not we don't I mean, it's not always that we have, I mean, 5, 7,
Mhm.
cakes in a week. There could be weeks that we have nothing, or maybe even months that things are going very very slow. And
Mhm.
we know because we've been there. We know how it works. Do you think it's? You mentioned the social media, and you mentioned this TikTok content creators, just showing what they make or how they do their cakes just for the sake of showing. Do you think that's damaging somehow
I don't think it's
the real
necessarily
business?
I don't think it's necessarily the content creators that are
Mhm.
damaging, because a lot of the ones who are just doing it as content creation now are will tell you that they're doing that.
Mhm.
Not all of them, but quite a lot of them do. Um, they will tell you that they don't take orders anymore. So what I'm doing is content.
Mhm.
Um, however, there are a lot of cake makers on there that are actually in business, but they basically have grown their businesses on TikTok. So they've literally
Yeah.
gone on there and they've documented their whole journey from when they very first started. Um, and they've grown their audience because they're on there and they're practicing and they're doing these cakes and then they're starting to sell them. And they start selling them before they've gone and got registered and quite often and things like that. But then I know when I first started, the first thing I did was go to have a look what other people were charging for their cakes. I didn't think like a business should and just sit down and work out my costs. I
Yeah.
went and looked at what other people were charging. And back then it was looking at websites because we didn't have the social media that we have now. Whereas now people go onto TikTok and they're seeing this stuff on TikTok. They're seeing these people coming through and this is what I made this week. I made these cakes and my average price of these cakes is like £60. Like you are not charging enough for these cakes. Um, even like what's classed as probably a more simple birthday cake, they still have a lot of detail and skill in them, and and the ingredients alone costs more than what they're putting them on there for. And I just think it's now feeding into a narrative of like, oh well, if they're charging that, then I should be charging that, and I can't charge more than that. But equally, because they're sharing that everywhere, they're educating as a byproduct couples and clients that this is what you should be paying for stuff
Mhm.
when
Yeah.
and then it makes those of us who are professionals who have lots of experience, and it's our experience and our skills and our knowledge that are the value essentially behind what we do.
Yeah.
And they're not seeing that anymore.
No, no, and yeah, that's damaging. It's funny, just I think recently it wasn't today, it was yesterday. I had one of my classes, one of my students. They know I used to make cakes. This is my English classes, not the not the cake things. And they know I used to do cakes, and they can see all the stuff as you can see right now. My
Hmm.
back, they're all my cakes and my stuff. And one of them said, "Oh, my sister-in-law just bought a cake for uh, their nephew's christening, I think, and she paid 150 euros for a cake like that." And she showed me the picture, and when I saw the picture, I said, "That's great. That's how much that cake maker should be charging for that cake. I think it's great. It's too expensive for a cake." And she said exactly what you just mentioned. It is just cake. And I said, "No, it's not. It's not cake. It's a meaning for that party.
Yeah,
It's a part of it's a landmark. It's a decoration. Is something exclusive that she's getting. It's the knowledge."
it's the
Yeah.
value that the
Yeah.
person who's purchasing it puts on it, like
Mhm.
what experience they're getting from it, what
Yeah.
memories are being created from it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
like
it's just the same as when you're hiring a DJ or getting a balloon arch or, some sort of little mini orchestra or something. You are paid what they are worth, what the value is, and what that brings to your event. And it's not just cake, it's not just a balloon arch, it's a piece of art.
It is. It
I
is.
seen a thing the other day, and it was I can't even remember when I seen it now, but it basically was saying about how think about the other aspects of a wedding that people that are only there for that moment in time. and people don't push back or really question as much a cost and a price on it as opposed to what they do for us. It's different for photographers and videographers because and content creators that you now have on wedding days because they're providing something that they're going to have then tangibly afterwards.
Yeah.
But the likes of florists with the florals, the floral arrangements, they might last a couple of days after the wedding, but they are going to disappear.
Yeah.
The bands are only there on the night, but they're there to create some atmosphere. The stationers that create your wedding stationery, if you have somebody doing that, or, like all those other elements are there for the day. They're not things that are tangible. So they're kind of like the balloon arches, like you were saying, those kind of
Yeah.
any of those kind of things. They're for the moment. It's about the experience that you're providing for your clients and your couples or your customers at the events or weddings that they're
Yeah.
having.
Yeah.
It's a whole involving them in it. So for us as cake makers and cake designers, it's not just a cake. We are creating a visual centerpiece. We are creating a taste sensation. It's not just a cake.
Yeah.
It's not just a cake. Yeah.
We
I,
we had a
yeah.
string quartet at our wedding for, I think, 2.5 hours, and they cost a fortune.
Mm,
And that was 2.5 hours and just 4 people. And,
that's it.
we might have a bit of a video recording somewhere with a little snippet of it on, but
Now imagine
God
you went
knows.
to the quartet and said, "If it's a trio, would you make it
Yeah,
cheaper?"
exactly.
Instead of, "Can
I
you just remove one of the strings from the violins and make it cheaper for me?"
Yeah,
But I bet all of your guests from your wedding
remember
remember that.
Yeah,
And
talk
it's
about
the memories that it's
Right.
created
Yes.
for them because your memories, other people can't take your memories away from you. That's
Yeah,
what it's about. It's about,
yeah,
about creating a moment that lasts in your memory forever.
And that's what a cake is too.
yeah.
I mean, you will
Yeah.
always remember your cake, your
Oh,
wedding cake,
there's still
good or
something
bad,
about
you will
cake as
remember it.
well.
Yeah. It's true, it's true. And, but yeah, people, I mean, I sometimes I feel that it's a mixture of not the cake decorators, cake artists not having enough knowledge or will to put the knowledge in practice
Yeah,
with everything that's going on social media. I mean, all the content that is out there, all the information that is out there. Our clients need to be educated, but we have to be brave enough to charge what. But in a whole, it's so despairs. It's like it's so all over the place that how we fix this? Do you have any
I
ideas?
think the only way that we can really fix it is to keep speaking up
Mm,
and to keep encouraging people. Because whenever I teach and when we were talking about pricing in the live chat that Joe and myself did earlier in the year, um, whenever I do live chats and whenever I'm teaching and we're talking about peak pricing, I always say that I will never tell somebody what they should be charging
yeah,
mhm.
because it's not my place to determine what value and worth you put on your skills, your knowledge, and your experience. And that's the bit that your value needs to be put onto. Um, what I can guide people through with is like making sure that when they are doing their costings, they're including every element that needs to be factored into their pricing. So they need to, it's not just about their ingredients that they've gone to the shop and they've bought. It's not just about the supplies, the boxes, the boards, tools, equipment, and stuff. It's about the fact that you spent how long have you spent sitting down to do your stock order? Like gone are the days when we can go onto one website and be able to order everything from one website. We know that we have to spend time shopping around to see which site can we actually get the bulk of our order from,
yeah,
Mhm.
so that we're paying the least amount of shipping charges and postage costs and things like that. And that all takes time. They forget to factor in the time it takes them to go and drive and get their supplies if they're going to the catering supplies or wherever to get stuff. Like that is still you're working still when you're doing
yeah,
that. It's still your time that you need to cover. They don't allow for cleaning down time. They don't properly time how long it actually takes to do their cakes because I can guarantee it takes far longer than they think it
that is
does to be
right.
like, to set up. But it's like you've got to remember that, especially if you're a home cake business like me, you're not going out the door and stepping into a building. If you were going out the door to work and stepping into a building, you would recognize more the hours that you're working.
Mhm.
When you're doing everything from home, you don't notice it because you literally are just, okay, I'm going to start cleaning down and getting ready to start work. And they forget to incorporate all of that time
Mhm.
in.
Yeah.
And then the next thing I would say to them is, you've got to think about your hours, all of your hours that you work. At a bare minimum, you need to pay yourself minimum wage.
Yes.
At
Yeah, I agree.
bare minimum. And
Baseline.
a lot of what we do as cake makers and designers isn't minimum wage.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
No, no.
But if
But they
you at least get them to cost it with minimum wage, they actually realize, oh my gosh, I'm not even charging that.
yeah, they don't do the math, do they?
No.
No, right? They
See,
don't.
Jo does now. Now she's in business because we've had conversations about it. I think that's how the life
I
came about, wasn't it?
Yeah, I've always kind of done the math, but there was elements I was leaving out.
Mm.
I never considered the shopping time, the clean down time. I probably factored it in somewhere, but I never really considered it. Years ago, when I first started on social media and everybody was on these pricing debates, I'm pretty hot on with Excel, so I created a spreadsheet where you just pop your ingredient weights in, and as long as your prices are correct and up to date, it gives you an end figure with a profit margin and everything else.
Mhm.
But even on that spreadsheet, I haven't incorporated the correct amount of timings and elements to put in for different things like sitting down and ordering things. I just haven't. I put a post up on social media about a cake I did that I actually priced from start to finish. It was a cake for a friend. I certainly didn't charge them for it or anything like that. And it was a ridiculous price. And it was a sample cake. It was just something I was playing around with. Wouldn't have charged for it. And in that, after a conversation with Emma, I costed the shopping time to go and collect the ingredients. Some of the arguments on that post. How can it possibly take you an hour to go shopping? What? I'm sorry. Do you live on top of the shop? You
Yeah,
live. And it
yeah,
was ridiculous.
yeah.
I've got a decorator friend who came and did my front room. I did an exchange for him, but it would have cost me 250 quid for him to do my little I've only got a little front room. And took him 4 hours to do it, and I provided the paint, and he would have charged £250 for that. And
See? Yeah.
we're paying for his experience and his
Yeah.
profession. My husband's a plumber. If he went out and did a shower screen, yesterday, it's a call-out charge straight away, and then his hourly rate on top of that, and nobody argues with that.
No,
Nobody
No,
has a job to say about that.
no, no. But again, it's just cake. That's
It's just
what they think.
cake.
It's just
Cake.
cake. Yeah, yeah. No, but I mean, absolutely. All of those little bits, the going to the shop, the sitting down to create the design, to even find you know all the ingredients and all the products that you need online. All of that is, if you were in a, like you said, if you were go to a job, you know
Yeah,
and sit in the office where you work, even if we're just turning
anything
on the
that
computer and checking the
you
email,
expect to be paid for in a normal job,
you would be paid for it.
you
Yeah,
need to pay yourself for it if you're doing that at home.
yeah, yeah.
Um, and then obviously people forget to factor in profit on top. They don't realize that it's like your cost of your ingredients, your supplies, your utilities and sundries and everything else and that, um, insurances, all of those things. Um, and then you have to pay yourself and then you have to factor profit on top
Hmm.
in order to make it a sustainable business, to be able to have something to reinvest into your business, like in trainings and things like that.
Yeah.
They don't account for all of those things. They don't
Now,
they don't pay any attention to that
I
side of
recently,
it.
even in yesterday's, this week's podcast, I talk about that because I Joe, we talk about the school platform where now I have this community. I'm trying to migrate the community to school,
yeah,
okay? And talking to other cake friends, they said, but you have to pay to open a community. It's like, well, yeah, it's. I don't think it's that much. It's $9 because it's not even pounds or euros; it's dollars. $9 a month. I think that could can come out of the marketing and website budget. It's
Yeah.
$9. Oh, I don't have a marketing and website budget. So how do you how do you promote? I mean, but you do have a website. Yes. How do you pay for that? Well, at the time of paying, I'll find the money somewhere. Ooh, no, don't do that. It's like, no, have that money set it, but you can only have that if you do the math, you charge for
Hmm.
profit, and you invest back in your business.
Yeah.
And those are the little things that I didn't know that 18 years ago. I had no idea. Like
Yeah.
now it's like, yeah, we have to do that. We have to do that. Yeah. I agree with you, Emma. We need to keep talking about this. Maybe at some point, people will catch up with us. I guess. I don't know. I don't know.
It does. It does really need talking about, and people need to stop arguing about it as well, and accepting that that is their price. That is your price.
Yeah.
And
The people that push back are usually pushing back because they're not charging properly, and it makes them
yeah,
feel uncomfortable in
yeah,
themselves because it's like shining, it's like holding the mirror up to them. It's like, oh
Mhm.
yeah, oh, this is me, and it makes you feel uncomfortable when you realize, it's a bit like, um, even as a business coach, I know that I don't do enough on my social media sometimes, and we all have times when we're not in the you have to be in the frame of mind sometimes to be able to show up in that, or we've got other things going on in life that mean that we're not doing those things. But it's a bit like that. You kind of feel like, and then you see a post that says, remember, you need to, if you're not being visible, nobody can find you. um and it's like, oh yeah, I know that, and I need to do that. But it's that mirror being shown up, and when
Yeah.
somebody
Yeah.
shows you that you're not charging properly,
Yeah.
you're not valuing yourself, you're massively undercharging yourself, then it's like, oh, oh, this feels really, really uncomfortable. I don't
It is.
like this.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of mindset work more than anything that needs to be done.
Mhm.
Um, and I genuinely think, so when it comes to learning and keeping up on top of trainings for cake businesses, um, more of it is actually needed on the business side of it as opposed to the cake side of it.
Yeah.
We tend to think that we should be spending most of our time actually making the cakes when actually that's
Yeah.
disproportionate. You should be flipping it. We should be spending more time working on the what's classed as admin side of stuff, I
Yeah.
suppose, the business
The
side
business side of
aspects,
it. Mhm.
all the
Yeah.
business things, as opposed to the actual cakes themselves.
yeah,
Yeah.
Um, and if you do it and you do it that way, that's when you can start to tailor your business to what you want it to look like. You can
Yeah.
start to
that's
structure it
right.
so that you can work on the volume of orders that actually is right for you, because otherwise you can end up heading to burnout, and burnout is not a great place to be. And
No.
it can be burnout physically and mentally and creatively as well. And you can
Mhm.
lose your passion for what you're doing really quickly, and let's face it, most of us come into the industry because we love what we're doing. But I mean, I can hand on heart say that I've been I've nearly hit burnout at least 2 or 3 times. Certainly when I was taking every order under the sun because I thought that that was what success was meant to be.
Yeah.
Like, "Oh, my diary is jam-packed and I'm working till 2 o'clock in the morning," and you wear that 2 o'clock in the morning thing like a badge of honor. It's like, "Look at me, I'm still caking at 2 o'clock in the morning." It's like, "No, you're insane. Why are you doing that? Go to sleep."
I've actually started out with major boundaries. I've set
Mhm.
myself only 2 cakes a month, irrespective of
Yeah.
size, price, whatever. It's 2 cakes a month, and that's all I'm gonna be doing. I'm busy enough as it is. I don't want burnout. But would I have done that if I wasn't already busy? Would I have actually thought about that and set myself them boundaries? And they
Good
probably would have
question.
been bigger, but
Yeah, good question. Yeah, because but being busy and having other businesses, that's how you learn. Like, okay, now wait a
yeah,
minute. I have a question because I always had this in my mind, and we're gonna fall into the coaching bit of it because Emma, like me, we're nominating for coaches. Yay! This year for the CMA. Woohoo! Let's see what happens. Emma won last year, by the way, if you don't know. She was
I
the
did.
So
winner.
it's your turn this year, Christina.
I don't know. I don't think
I'll
so.
fight her
We'll
for it.
see. We'll see. No, honestly, I don't think so. But I'm happy to be there in the top. We're
The
what,
fact
six
that
of us?
there's even a category for it is a big, big, massive
Yes. That's
win
massive
anyway.
achievement.
Yeah.
Yes, because that means that it's there, right? People seeing that this is needed in the industry. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm happy with it. I'm for the community. I'm like, "Oh, I want the community to win, but we'll see. We'll see again. I don't know. Let's go have fun. But going back to this part of the mindset, the coaching, when you were talking, Joe, about I probably did it because I was already busy. One of the things that I see, especially when I talk to my coachees in the groups and everything, is and you mentioned it when you were talking about the about showing that mirror, is that everybody takes it very personal. Like the failure, like it's me.
Yeah.
And when you really see the things as a business and you remove your yourself from it, like this is a business, I have to treat it as such. As such, I need to price this, I need to do the admin, I need to set some boundaries.
Mhm.
It feels like you almost remove yourself from, oh, this is, I like you said, I need to wear the badge of honor that I work until 2 in the morning. We're like, no,
Yeah.
why do you do that? Um, how was that shift of mindset for you, Emma? And Joe, you said I wouldn't have done it maybe if I wasn't so busy. But now that you work that way, how's that working out for you? As this is a business, it's not me, it's a business.
For me, I'm in the first month of it, so will it work out for me or will I, slip them boundaries? Will they fall down a little bit? Who knows? Will I even get enough orders to sustain to a month? Nobody knows. It's a brand new thing.
Okay.
Definitely, I wouldn't. I don't think I'd have set them boundaries. If I wasn't doing anything else, I'd have probably gone head first into it because that's what I do, and I'd have taken as many orders as I could and burnt myself out. Um, so yeah, I don't know how that's going to work out for me, but we'll see.
But it's good. I mean, it's interesting because you say, well, we'll see if it works. But it doesn't sound like, oh my God, I hope this works because otherwise, no, it's like, well, we'll see if it works. If it doesn't
Ex-
work, we'll change it.
Yeah,
And
exactly. That is
I,
exactly it.
I think I think that's the idea, right? To think about our
Yeah.
business that way, right?
Yeah.
If it doesn't work this way, we'll move it in a different way,
Yes.
Yeah.
or we'll switch it up. I don't know, Emma. And for you, that mindset switch,
So I
how it
think for
happened?
me, it kind of happened. I was like, as I say, I was insanely busy and I was missing time with family. I was working really long days. I was getting up early to do stuff before I took the kids to school, working all day. Then I was working late in the evenings, to get things done. I was like, there has to be a better way of doing this. And it actually got to a point where, to start with, I knocked kids' cakes, birthday cakes on the head for a while, and I was like, I'm not advertising that I do them anymore. I was fed up with the requests that I was getting, mostly either for tractors because it's kind of farming area around us, or for character themed cakes. And I was very aware of copyright law, and I wasn't to start with. And then I became acutely aware of it, and I was like, "I don't want to do this," and it was killing my creativity, and I kind of moved away from those. It's like my passion is in the wedding cakes, so I moved to wedding cakes, but then was doing lots and lots of wedding cakes, multiple deliveries on a given day kind of thing. And then I started to fall out of love with it, and I realized there was aspects of it I just wasn't enjoying, and I was like, something has to change. And I was like, I can't keep doing certain things that just don't, like they're tiring me out and I'm not enjoying doing those things.
Mm,
So I need to work smarter and not harder.
mm,
So I then started working on developing my own style. Um, Entering Cake International was actually one thing that really helped me to
mhm,
start working on thinking about like what do I want to be known for? How can I have somebody look at my work and go, that's an Emma Stewart cake? And I started working on from that point of view. But I suppose because I am a perfectionist, I know I'm a perfectionist, and I always strive to get like I'm also with my couples, I'm not just I don't want them to ever feel like they're just a number. Like they're not on a conveyor belt. They are not just a number to me. Their day is important to me. So therefore, in order for me to create that experience for them and that feeling for them, I have to have a level of exclusivity. So I had to up level and the what I do for my couples, not just in the level of execution, in terms of like the baits themselves and the execution of the skills exteriorly, but the service that I provide from the minute they get in touch to when we finish and actually on their wedding day, because I know you both know that the way that I work with my couples is very different to what most people do. So I present my cakes to my couples. They actually see me on their wedding day. I have certain gifts that I provide to my couples as well that are lifelong pieces of artwork that they're going to keep. Like it's something that it's above and beyond what a normal cake maker would do with a wedding cake. And for me, that was my way of being able to tap into that. You're not just a number to me, because reflecting back on my own experience, it's like, well, when we got married, which is nearly 20 years ago now, it was like you went to this one cake maker in the town and we were literally in and out in 5 minutes. We weren't, it was like, do you want this shape, that shape, or that shape? That's the flavors that we do. At the time, it wasn't buttercream filling, it was just sponge. And we didn't get tasting any of it. And we were oversold the amount of portions that we needed to what we needed. The cake was dry. There was none of us in the cake. I was like, I don't, and like looking back, I was like, I felt like we were on a conveyor belt. I didn't know any different at the time because
Yeah.
obviously it was before I started making cakes. So when I did start doing it, it was always there in the back of my mind, but I didn't really tap into it properly. And then the older and more wiser I got, I suppose, the more realized that actually it's really important to me in all aspects of my life to not feel like I'm just a number to somebody. And I don't ever want anybody else to feel like that in anything that I do, whether that's with my wedding couples or if it's a celebration cake that I'm doing or if it's teaching. Like I want people to know that they aren't just a number.
Hmm.
So I think once I started really tuning into that, it made me realize that I had to look at my pricing because what I wanted to offer needed to be valued. And
Yes.
then my skills and my experience and everything has grown, obviously
Yeah.
over the years, especially in the last. Probably started to develop in the last from about 2016, probably.
Hmm.
From that point onwards, like through competing and competitions, like, building up to achieving goals, which Joe and I got gold last year, at Cake International, to writing tutorials for various different magazines over the years, to obviously teaching online, to demonstrating on stages, to winning awards, like there's to becoming a Cake International judge. Like there's so much more experience that is there under my belt, and it's that knowledge and skills that we need to appreciate, and that's
Yeah.
what the public need to appreciate
Hmm.
as well. Like Joe
Yeah.
said, like you get a plumber because they're the person with experience.
Yeah.
You're not gonna chaff around with it yourself. Well, you can, but chances are you probably still need to call the plumber in to sort out what you try to do.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah. And I mean, I love that you mentioned that all of that add up. It's not just about making a cake. It's not just about, oh, I'm well known in the area. It's all of that knowledge, all of those years of investing in you, in your business, in competitions, all of that. All of that is part of the equation. And how would you address all of this in very simple words to somebody who's just starting out? and wants to do things right from the beginning, wants to price correctly, correctly. I don't like to say correctly. Price for profit, you know, with
Yeah.
their business. And maybe they don't feel, well, I've never been in a competition. I don't have that much expertise. How would you translate all of that to that person?
If you're just starting out in the business, you have the opportunity to design and set up and structure your business to work right for you from the start,
Yeah.
so that
Yeah.
you don't then have to get down the line and suddenly realize that, oh my gosh, I'm not charging properly. I've got this huge deficit here that I really should be charging much more. And then you kind of end up stuck
Mhm.
because that's what scares you then trying to move up. So I would say actually really investing in maybe some training in terms of the business side of things. I wish that I'd been able to do that when I first started. Like everything that I do now is designed for, like I did with my wedding cakes, it's like I want to provide the service that I wish I was able to have
Yeah.
or had
Mhm.
when we got married. Everything that I do is like passing on my knowledge, my skills, and my experience because I can give, like I can pass that on to other people. And through having conversations, even when we're doing like, if we're doing cake skills training, like there's always going to be little snippets that are like useful information. I was on TikTok live today doing cake tasters, and I had the usual glove brigade on, um, questioning why I wasn't wearing gloves when I was working on my cakes. And I was just like, because we don't have to. And my environmental health officer says that's fine because I have a hand sink and I have my 5-star hygiene rating and I have good hand hygiene and that is
Oh my, but
actually
there's
much
always going to be
better.
somebody to say
Do you know
something.
what I mean?
Yeah.
But there were also people on there that were kind of like, this has been super useful. I really appreciate the fact that you're talking about these topics, that we talked about we didn't actually talk about pricing today, but we did talk about fundamentals of cake foundations and, like making sure that you actually set yourself up for having a good cake to start with from like baking and fillings and structure that way. And we talked about the glove hygiene thing and the EHOs and how they do inspections in some areas, but actually in other areas they don't actually physically go out and inspect because we are deemed low risk as cake businesses unless you are selling in the shop. There are certain circumstances that you aren't low risk, you do move up to mid risk and that. We talked about allergens. We talked about what else did we talk about? Uh, Loads of different things, but it was the fact that there was a couple of hundred people on watching,
Oh,
and it was a real mixture. There was cake makers, non-cake makers, and it's an opportunity to be able to educate both sides
Yeah.
at the same time
yeah.
about the importance and things that go into it and to show that actually it's not just about this cake that I'm cutting here right now, the cake. It's about everything else. It's the training that we do. The fact that we were talking about, I've done a chocolate Guinness cake and it's quite often paired with a cream cheese frosting, a bit like a carrot cake normally is. But both of those I was doing today, and I have mine with a vanilla buttercream, and I was explaining why, because the cream cheese can't sit out of the fridge, and like it has a really short shelf life, and all those kind of things that are aspects that need to be factored into when we're pricing our cakes. And when we have the responsibility as the cake business owner, the cake maker, it's our responsibility to also educate those around us. And if you start believing in yourself and adjust your own mindset and your feelings around money, um, you'll then be able to verbalize and vocalize and put out there what, like, not justifying your prices, but showing what else is involved apart from just the cake stuff.
Mhm.
Um, because there is far more to it,
It's way
as
more,
we know.
yeah. There's a lot more to it than just numbers or eggs and flour and sugar.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it. Joe, what about if you could talk to a person who's just starting out like you and maybe has other businesses like you do and wants to start selling their cakes, what would you say?
I think I would say if they can afford it, invest in some sort of academy where they can get a little bit of background training if they can't find all that information online.
Mhm.
Definitely go something like the fundamentals, but absolutely build yourself a model, build your business model, look at what you want to get from your business. What should that business be doing for you? Because ultimately, working for yourself should make your life easier in the long run. It's never going to be easy in the start because that's not how a business grows. But in the long run, you should be able to make yourself more comfortable and more sustainable. So
Yeah.
look what you want from your business, what it needs to provide for you.
Yeah.
It's not all about how much time you're putting into it. It's what it can give back.
And it's
Yes.
also
Oh,
about
that's
not comparing
No,
your what you have set up for your
yeah,
business with what other people are doing as well. So
absolutely. Can't
if other people are doing 30, 40, 50 weddings in a year, their business model is not going to be the same as mine, where I'm like, the maximum I will do in a year is 20.
yeah.
yeah. Oh, yeah,
And
that's
it's,
one thing.
it's totally
So many
different.
people
And you
can
can't compare.
yeah.
You do get, it's really easy to get knocked by what other people are doing and what you see other people doing and achieving.
Yeah.
And I actually would say as well that even when there are always assumptions made. So there were assumptions made when it, like you're to, like on pricing at the lower level. There is equally like, especially when you, as we said, when you start out and you're not too sure what to charge, and you're a new person into the industry, and the assumption is that when you get to being successful, that doesn't impact you or affect you anymore. But I mean, success is determined by what you put on as your own definition of what success is.
Yeah.
Everybody's
It's
definition of
not the
success
same for
should
everyone.
be different. It
Yeah.
won't be the same for everybody.
Yeah.
Um, but like in the last couple of weeks since winning the wedding awards, I've had the amount of people that I've had saying, "Oh, you must be really busy at the moment." I'm like, "Oh, really busy off the back of it." I'm like, "No, this isn't a busy time of year, and actually, the industry is very different right now anyway, and we're not." Certainly in the level of the industry that I work in, we're not super crazy busy, and there are a lot of businesses that are sadly closing.
Mm.
Um, but it's more a case of they are reevaluating. They're not prepared to cut prices, drop to rock bottom, that fall into that race to the bottom in order to keep orders coming in. It's not the way to run a business.
Mhm.
Um, and like people have assumed through conversations that I've had that I must be crazy busy, flat out all the time, or I'm booked out. And because they're like, oh, she's award winning, she must be booked out. Then I have a whole education process that I have to re go through again to educate people that I do still have some availability. And
Yeah.
yes, I'm award winning, but I do still have availability. And I'm
Yeah.
award winning,
Yeah.
but you can still, you don't know if you can afford me unless you actually go and have a look. Which equally actually brings me to another thing with new businesses. Make sure that your pricing, you need to have like at least a start from, like a minimum order value or something that gives an indication on where your price point is.
Yeah.
Even if you're not doing like a set range or set pricing and stuff. Um, but just remember that people don't need everything. Because I see a lot of posts at the moment on TikTok, and I've actually started commenting on them as well. For usually brides that are planning their weddings, and they're like, "I wish that wedding suppliers would just be open and transparent and put their prices on their websites." And I've seen one saying that it's if they can't see them on their websites, then it's a no for me, and I don't even inquire. They just want it to be there. And I was like, well, actually, that's not quite true because I get people asking me about prices all the time. Or and I'm like, "Well, I have an investment page on my website." The whole page there. It tells them the average price for each size. It gives them examples of like costed up cakes. And I also have my minimum order value on there in multiple places, including one of the last lines before you fill out my contact form. Yet you still get people coming through and you give them a quote after a few conversations. You give them you're going to be looking in the region of this kind of price for what you're looking for. And then you get, "That's way above what I was expecting. That's way above my budget." And you kind of like, "But that's not far above my minimum order, and you should have seen that when you were
Oh,
filling out."
yeah, but people don't read.
They don't they
That's
don't they don't
that's
read. So, like, we do
yeah,
have to try and make it as clear as possible and
yeah,
spell it out. But again, that is a mindset and a confidence thing
yeah,
from our point of view. You're only gonna feel comfortable and confident putting that up there if you believe in your pricing.
yes,
And another
totally.
thing is that what scares people is they look at the price and they're like, "I wouldn't pay that."
But you are not the customer.
But we're not the customers.
Oh, yes. I learned that, uh, also when I changed that mindset and changed that, at the beginning when I think it was the first 2 years, I was like, "This is not working out." Because in the back of my mind, I was always thinking of how much would I pay or how much,
Yeah,
and I always joke, like, if I had to pay this for a cake, I wouldn't buy it. And because I make it, and no, why would I pay for this? And, I got to a point, I said, I'm not my customer. My
yeah,
customer not necessarily thinks like me or has the same budget that I have. So, no, this is my business. I'm not my customer. But all
yeah,
these little shifts happen when you go through the process, I guess. The
yeah,
good thing, as we both mentioned, is that now you have access to knowledge, like
yeah,
cake coaches or templates or,
yeah.
knowledge out there that we didn't have when we started.
Oh, yeah,
And yeah, yeah. And I love what you mentioned, both of you mentioned, is just keep to your own lane, right? Not comparing yourself to anybody, not copycutting prices because, oh, if the neighbor is charging this much, I should be charging that much.
yeah,
Um and and I guess at the end of the day, that confidence on putting out your price or pricing whatever you really need to price comes from knowledge. So yeah, learn, educate yourself if you're starting your business because that's the best thing you can do for yourself, for your
yeah.
business, for everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Now, let's just very quickly before we go, because we've been talking almost for an hour. I cannot believe it. I cannot live without asking you guys about the upcoming DMA awards. Tell me, are you excited about that?
Yes, very excited. I am up for any awards this year. I was semi-finalist just for the community group. Really shocked to be even there because I've been missing in action this last 12 months. Busy sorting the cafe out, launching a new business. So I was really shocked to even be in a semi-finalist position. But that doesn't mean I'm not going because it's so much fun.
We're gonna have fun. Yay.
Yeah.
True, true. Emma, is it just for the coaching or also for the wedding cake? Uh,
No, just coaching this year.
just
I was a semi-finalist in a couple of the other categories, but didn't get through to the final positions. But finalist for the coach award again.
yeah.
Um, so it'll be a great night. It's always a great night. It's lovely being able to be in a room surrounded by so many other cake makers and cake designers, businesses that we have grown to respect as our industry and our community that's around us. And, like it's those spaces where connections and collaborations can form.
Yeah, it is great. It's great to see everyone. It's sort of like what happens but I don't know, it's cozy, it's more, familiar. This like Cake
It's a bit more
International is
intimate,
very
isn't it?
true.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
definitely more intimate. It's great to see the same faces and have that same connection. But Cake International's so busy. I love it, don't get me wrong, but it is so busy and you just don't get 2 minutes to yourself unless I'm
true,
just you're on stage to do
true.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah, unless I'm scolding you on stage for being out drinking too much the night before we have a live final to do, Joe.
We still won. It's
We still
You
okay.
won, we did.
did. That was good. How was it Cake International for you last year?
Cake
I mean,
International was
you
great
won,
fun. I
yes.
mean, I was judging on the Friday, so that was a long day, but
Mm,
good all the same. And then the Saturday we had our semi-final,
mhm.
which we won. And we didn't actually expect to win, so although we had had team meetings and team chats about what we would do for the final. We hadn't really
There's been no real
expect
practice, has there? Apart from maggots. You had practice maggots.
no, but Maggots was for day one. That wasn't for the final. It was like
No,
final
we had
was kind of like,
practice to
this
build
is
the final.
the Christmas final one. It was a case of like, if we get there, this is what you'll do, this is what I'll do, and this is what Graham's going to be doing, and we'll just wing it as we go.
There you
Um,
go.
and then that happened. And as soon as that happened, I'm that sensible head person. I'm like, okay, well, we have to be there and we have to get prepped early in the morning. So I'm actually not I'm only going to have like 2 drinks and then stop drinking at the awards. Like, and get a fairly early-ish night. Unlike the rest of my team who decide to carry on partying.
Come on, Emma, you could have stayed
Led
partying.
astray by people. It wasn't my fault.
Well, to be fair, Christina, if I hadn't been the sensible one, we probably wouldn't have even had a team on the stage.
There's
Me
always good to have a sensible one in the team.
me and
Definitely.
Graham were like 2 naughty school children.
They were definitely on the naughty list with the Christmas themed cake, that was for sure.
But that was fun. The awards at Cake International were fun as well.
Oh, they were, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It
Yeah.
was, we had a good time. We had a good time there.
It's always good, isn't it? It's
It
always
is.
yeah.
It's always good, and we have now the excuse to go party again.
Yeah.
Now, before we go, there's 2 things, but one that I also wanted to touch bases with you is about just in general, because you've been to Cake International, you know what's going on in the cake industry, you know, the 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 behind the scenes, you've been in the business for a while. What do you what do you foresee or what do you see coming in this year as a matter of tendencies, what the clients want versus what's really what we are putting out there. I'm asking you this because I've been feeling that there is some sort of it's like I feel that in our cake industry, this like Cake International, the DMAs, I mean, all these people from around the world that are working on this, we are set in a way of doing things. And then I feel that the tendency, the audience, the social media, everything is going into a slight different way.
I I'm seeing minimalism. That's where I think my head's going, and I think it's what I'm seeing, things leading towards minimalism.
Mhm.
Pale colours, all where we used to have a few different colours on a cake. They're all of a very soft tone, and they're all either all the same colour or a very soft tone. And I'm seeing minimalism, but classy cakes.
Mm. The classic is coming back,
Yeah,
definitely, right?
Yeah,
yeah.
I think for me, I'm never one to really jump on trends, and I
No,
think people are starting to understand that trends, certainly in the last few years, trends come and go so fast, and they actually can really date something. So
Mhm.
it's fine to use elements of trends, but use them when it feels right for your business. Don't just jump on them for the sake of this is a trend. I mean, it's a bit more different where I am based over in Northern Ireland because we tend to be about 12 to 18 months behind everywhere else. So me being in the cake world, I've seen this thing like things that have been going on as trends for 18 months to 2 years, and now they're starting to show up in weddings over here. It's like, oh, I'm done with this already. This is why I don't do trends. You need to go for classic,
yeah.
timeless, something that's not going to date your wedding really badly. Um, but in terms of businesses in general, I think there is a slight shift. And yes, us as probably what's classed as the old school guard now, we're the older ones. Um,
No, we're not
in
old.
the
We're
industry,
cool, but not old.
like the ones that have the established, that's a better word, the
Mm.
established in the
I like that.
industry.
Wiser and
We
established.
do we do need to navigate and understand the changes, like communicate what couples and clients are looking for
Mm.
from us and their buying habits and the things that they like and what's important to them and that. Um, ex- the have providing guests with an experience is becoming something that's more and more important. And it for me, it's about making sure that couples realize that the cake isn't just the cake that's sat on the table. It's not just a an item that is disposable and throw away. It has a significant part, especially for a wedding, and about how it creates those memories and the experience that it actually provides. So it's tapping into that even more to be
Mhm.
able to get that messaging across to people more. So they start to appreciate it in a different way, and they look at it and view it from a different point of view.
Mhm.
Um, so I'm hoping that that's going to come through. I do know that a lot of cake makers and cake businesses at the moment feel like it's a little bit like a survival mode for a lot of them,
To keep up with the
especially
trends and with
to
everything,
either
yeah.
keep up with trends or to just keep their head above the water. But if everybody actually started paying attention to their pricing, to the running of their business and doing it in a proper, in a more sustainable way, in a profit and sustainable way,
Mhm.
um, it benefits the entire industry. It doesn't it's gonna benefit those that there will always be variety, and there should always be variety in cake prices, and I am all for that. I just feel like the bottom level need to make sure that they are doing the minimum
Mhm.
properly in order for it to actually provide the right reflection across the rest of the
Oh,
industry
yeah.
and
Yeah.
not cause the whole thing to collapse.
Yes. I agree. I agree with you, Emma. Very good. Very good. Okay, I have a last question, Joe. I think you already answered it before because you have been in the show before. But I have a last question here on the podcast for my guests. That is, if you could bake a cake for anyone, bake and decorate a cake for anyone, dead or alive, who would that be? And what would the cake look like? Joe, I don't remember who you
I
mentioned.
do you know, I can't remember who I think it was a rock star that I said
I
last.
think it was somebody, yes. I
I
think it was
think
a
it
rock star,
was.
but I don't know who.
I can't remember who it was neither. I might have to go and listen back to that one. Oh, do
Yeah. Okay, so let's
you know what?
let's
Right now,
do it.
I think I would. I lost my mum in 2008, and I think I'd
Oh,
bake her a cake, and it would be the flavors of my wedding cake, so
oh,
that she could sort of be there and be involved.
I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. Yeah. Oh, that's nice. What were the flavors? Now I'm curious.
It was lemon and raspberry.
Oh,
Yeah,
so good.
Nice.
it's really good.
Nice. Beautiful. Oh, that's so nice. Very good. And you, Emma, if you could, who would that be?
Oh, can I have 2? Like,
Yeah, sure.
one would be I'd love to bake another cake for my nan and grandpa who are no longer with me. My grandpa, he worked in a bakery many years ago when he was a young lad. He did all the workings for an apprenticeship, but because his father at the time wouldn't sign the paperwork for taking a pay cut to do an apprenticeship, he was never able to get his certificate signed off at the end of it. So he could never become a master baker. So he
Wow.
had to leave the profession that he wanted to go into, which was wedding cakes. And I didn't realize that that was the reason why he'd left the bakery. I just knew it was a sore subject and we never spoke about that really until my nana had passed away and the conversation started flowing and I found out so much more about it. But he was always like my biggest cheerer when I came into the world of cake and everything else. So I'd love to be able to make him a cake, like a full on cake and my nana, like for the two of them. But aside from them, I want to make Haley Page's and Conrad's wedding cake. I'm putting it out there into the world. I have Hayley Page is a phenomenal wedding dress designer. If you don't know her, you need to go and follow her. She
Mhm.
is insanely good. She had a massive battle for a good 2 years there regarding being able to use her own name, um, following leaving working under a company before as a designer, which she has publicly spoken about and everything, um, what she's allowed to and that. And then she launched her first collection last year as a independent solo designer. It was called
Mm.
Twice Upon a Time. And when she brought the collection over to the UK for the bridal buyers launch, I had the privilege of creating three designs based on three of her dresses from her collection for that event. So I have designed for Hayley Page. I have made
Okay.
cake for her, but she is now in the process of planning her own wedding, and I really want to make her wedding cake
Just put it
because
out there. Let's start
her
sharing
dresses
it
are
everywhere.
insane, and I know I get so much inspiration from them.
I think my wedding dress was her. I think that she was the designer of my wedding dress.
See? We need to put this out there somewhere. I don't know. Let's start sharing this in all social media. Yeah, it's like not just the universe. Come on. We have to put this in social media everywhere. Let's start tagging her and all the all the episodes that we're gonna share. Because maybe it could happen. Could happen. Oh, that's great. That's great. I love because I will say 90% of the answers of my guests have to do with their family, grandpas, grandmas, or moms or aunties, somebody who they love in their family and they either want to share the cake or or
Mhm.
because they baked before together or and that's what cake is all about. I mean, we all learn in the kitchens with our mothers and our grandmothers
Yeah.
and that's the love. So it's not just
Mine
flour
so
and milk.
my 2 got you got the family connection and you also got my inspiration. So
There you
you're
go.
getting both
There
sides
you
of me.
go. There you go. Yeah. But at the end of the day, it's about that. It's about because that inspiration comes from that connection and creativity that you see with this
Yeah.
person and the family connections. It's the love as we bake cakes. So yeah, we need to be nice to each other because we bake cakes. That's all. And just price correct, not correctly. I keep saying this and I don't like it. Price for profit. So
Yeah.
your business can be there for the long run.
Yeah.
Emma, Joe, has been a pleasure having you both here. Thank you so much for all your knowledge, for everything that you shared with us today. If my audience would like to find you, how could they find you? Where would they find you?
I am Joe's Cake Studio on all of the medias. It's the same title.
Perfect. I will share the links anyway in
Yeah.
in the description. But Emma, where can they find you?
So for me, they can find me under Emma Stewart Cake Design on all of the platforms. And they'll also find me under Emma Stewart Cake Academy, although I am guilty of not paying too much attention to those social media platforms. I do a lot more now under my Emma Stewart Cake Design on TikTok when it
Mhm.
comes to the teaching side of things because I get more interaction when I'm doing lives over on there. So that's where I
Yeah.
am.
Yeah. Perfect. Perfect. Thank you so much for being here, girls. Really, I appreciate your time and sharing all of your amazing knowledge with the community. And thank you to all the listeners for bearing with us for about an hour. So thank you so much. Have a great day. Thank you all. And as always, stay safe and stay creative. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.
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 Hey, cake friend, before you go, if you've been enjoying this episode and you are ready to take your cake business to the next level, I would love to invite you to join the Art Cake Coach Podcast Club on Spotify. Inside, you'll get access to over 17 exclusive audio classes and time management, goal setting, money mindset, and more. Everything you need to feel organized, confident, and balanced in your cake journey. And you will get one more extra class each month. You can unlock it right here on Spotify. Just tap on the link in the description of this episode.